What's up, you guys? I'm Rachel DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. Today will be my last solo episode before my wedding this weekend, and then I am going to take some days off like I mentioned to you guys in my last video. Also, shout out to all of you who have been sending congratulations and well wishes in the comments. It means so very much, so thank you for that. But in today's video, I did want to cover a topic that I feel like I've touched on in multiple videos, but we've never really done a deep dive into it, and that is the WNBA CBA negotiations. Where are they at now? What are the players asking for? What have I specifically heard? What do I predict is going to happen? Will the league end in a lockout? Will we have a season in 2026? All of those questions I'm going to try to answer in today's video. So let's start off by looking at this survey that The Athletic did, and it was an anonymous WNBA player survey that asked, if you had to pick one issue to prioritize in the new CBA, what would it be? Now, 70% of the respondents said higher salaries, 8% said more roster spots, 8% said minimum standards, 5% said more resources for families, 5% said pension, and 2% said better revenue share. The players just want to get paid more. Like, we've heard so many times in so many interviews where players talk about, we just want a better revenue split like the NBA gets, or we just want equity, or we just want, like, they list all of these different things. At the end of the day, I think all of the problems could be solved if the players just essentially got a raise. Now, do we know how much these players are asking for in these negotiations? That is still off the table, and we will probably never know, and it's probably a good thing that we don't know, because that would probably hurt the conversation, so they will keep that under the table. And I know that there have been so many conversations about the WNBA being a league that hasn't profited, about the NBA subsidizing the WNBA, about the WNBA losing money and the ratings and all of these types of things. You guys, in the past 2 years and the past season and a half, the WNBA has absolutely exploded, and the players do need to get compensated more. They do need to be paid more. And with the trajectory of the WNBA, assuming that it can stay on the path that it is currently going, the WNBA is seeing success that it has never seen in the entirety of its existence. And so I agree with the players here. They do need to be paid more. We don't know how much they are asking for, and that is something that could be a sticking point, but I am with them in a sense that I do think that there should be raises. I do think that they should be paid more. There's also a brand new TV deal that is going into the WNBA for the next couple seasons, and that should also help with the revenue that they are taking in. We also know that the WNBA has started chartering flights, which is causing them to lose money, but also all of these numbers that are always thrown out, like, I have yet to see, and I've searched for it, you guys. I have searched long and hard for it. I cannot get honest numbers within the economics of the WNBA, how much they are taking in versus how much they are losing, how much the NBA is pouring into the league. You cannot find recent numbers on all of these things that are concrete and that we can really trust. And I will share with you guys some insider information that I have. From what I am hearing, it seems like everything is pointing to a player strike, basically a lockout for next season. The rumblings around the industry is that brands are gearing up for the WNBA to at least have a stalled season next year, because the meetings that these players had, the 2 meetings that they had over All-Star, neither of them went well. And it seems like the players are on this side and Kathy Engelbert and everyone else is on this side. Things did not go well during those All-Star meetings, and that is a big reason why they wore the shirts that they did that said, pay us what you owe us. Now, again, I don't know what is exactly going on in these meetings. I don't think the media, I don't think fans should know, but from all of the little rumors and whispers that I'm hearing, everything is pointing to a player strike happening. And that worries me a little bit for the league, because like I said, this is the height of the WNBA probably since the 1990s. And I so much worry about a lockout or a player strike happening, because I don't want to see this momentum and this wave that the WNBA players in the league are on. I don't want to see that halted by something like a strike or something like a lockout. And I'm sure all of this is so stressful, not only for the players, but the players in the WNBA PA and the owners owners and Kathy Engelbert. I'm sure this is like such a rough time for everyone, just not knowing what the future is going to look like. And I can relate because my life has been pretty stressful and pretty crazy lately, from good things like getting married, but also some not so fun events like me getting publicly fired. We don't have to talk about that again. And of course, with Courtside Club, I like to stay positive and upbeat with my content. So that means behind the scenes, I have to make sure that I'm working on my mental health. So some of the things that I like to do to make sure that I'm keeping a healthy mind and body, I like to get in my daily workouts, go on walks, hang out with my 3 cats, Sunny, Sky, and Storm. I know that you guys all love them. My life is so consumed with social media and being online. And I'm somebody who is such a driven person that sometimes it's hard for me to not work from the minute I wake up in the morning until the minute that I go to bed. But a lot of the times that's not the best thing for my mental health. So incorporating these little things into my daily routine has really helped me. And BetterHelp is the sponsor of today's video, so shout out to them. They are on a mission to make starting therapy easier. A therapist will listen, ask questions, and help you see things from new perspectives. They can give you advice and techniques to make positive changes in your life. Fill out a questionnaire and you will match with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. Easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost if it's not the right fit. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. So click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Rachel DeMita for 10% off of your first month of therapy. Now, I did want to share with you guys a clip from a podcast that Gabby Williams did where she talked about the CBA negotiations, and she also spilled some tea on Unrivaled.
They were pretty clear about, well, obviously we're adding teams and we can't add this many teams and like play 7 games a week if the league still stays between like May and September. We're just not going to be able to play every single day, like just whatever. And so, of course, we're going to have to lengthen the season, and I think that is the ultimate goal. But if they lengthen the season and force us to not play in these other leagues, maybe I won't be in the W if I get a much better offer from Unrivaled or from another team overseas. And I think a lot of players are thinking about that. I think Unrivaled saved the WNBA's butt this year because a lot of players made it on time to training camp, which is ironic that the W doesn't like Unrivaled because the W wouldn't have had a lot of players without Unrivaled because of prioritization.
A lot of fans were pointing out that Gabby Williams mentioned that the WNBA doesn't like Unrivaled, and this is something that I have literally been saying from the beginning. I told you guys there is no way, there's no world where the WNBA and Unrivaled can coexist if they are both successful. The WNBA will do what they can to shut it down, and this is nothing against Napheesa Collier, it's nothing against Breanna Stewart, but I literally said like there is going to be a day where the WNBA either tries to buy Unrivaled, they partner in some way, or they start writing it in players' contracts that they can't play in Unrivaled. Now, Gabby Williams brings up a very good point that a lot of players, because they weren't going overseas and because they were playing in Unrivaled during the off season and they were making money there, they were able to get into the WNBA season quicker, because if you're playing overseas, sometimes you are there into playoffs, you have to stay there for as long as that season is, and you miss the beginning of the WNBA season. So she said here, Unrivaled kind of saved the WNBA because you got a lot more players to be in there. Now, we've also talked about the conflict of interest that happens with Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart being a part of the WNBA PA and them being the mouthpiece for the rest of the league. If the WNBA goes into a lockout or if players strike, it will actually help Unrivaled. And we also talked about in a previous episode how Napheesa Collier during the WNBA All-Star Draft, she wore an Unrivaled t-shirt. Now, to me, that was definitely a choice. She knew what she was doing. She brought up Unrivaled over and over and over again. And it honestly felt like, to me, it was more of a defiance thing to the WNBA. She was kind of showing the WNBA, like, look at what we're doing over here. All of these players, the players that I'm picking, they played in Unrivaled. They will come and play in Unrivaled again. And if the WNBA if the players strike or if we go into a lockout, everyone's just going to go to Unrivaled and we are going to pay them well. Now, what we have also seen during the Unrivaled offseason is they continue to rack up sponsors. It's murky waters. It is something that we have never experienced before in sports business. Like, I feel like in 30 years, there will be books written about this. Like, there will be a documentary, there will be all these things. We have never experienced this. When there have been NBA lockouts, there's not another player-owned league that all the players are going to. Like, maybe they're going to do coordinated runs at a gym in Los Angeles, but it is nothing like Unrivaled. Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, they are the ones who are winning at this point. They do have the leverage. The WNBA will need to step up. And like Gabby Williams said, if the WNBA decides to lengthen the season and take away other opportunities for these players, but they lengthen the season without paying them more, there could be players who decide that they would rather go play in Europe. They would rather just play in an off-season league like Unrivaled or Athletes Unlimited. And it's also so wild because the WNBA has announced that they will be expanding. They're creating more teams. And with these expansion teams, there have been WNBA players who have come out in interviews and they're saying, I'm not sure why we're expanding the league so quickly. We don't even have enough players on our rosters right now. Like, some of these teams are picking up hardship contract after hardship contract because we don't have enough players. Like, why don't we expand the rosters first before we start adding all of these new WNBA teams? There's one coming to Portland, there's one coming to Toronto, there's one going to Cleveland, there's one going to Detroit, and that's over the next 4 years. And while I'm optimistic, and like I said, you guys, the WNBA is booming. This is all exciting. Hopefully there is so much hype and the hype continues behind the league that these other franchises will be successful like we've seen with the Golden State Valkyrie. But the players have a point here. Like, it seems like there's still such a disconnect between the higher ups at the WNBA and the players. The players are saying, look, you're making our season longer, you're expanding teams, you're still not playing us more. We want to play in Unrivaled. We want to make that money. It's easy money for us. We just live in one city. We make some money. The ratings don't matter. The ratings for Unrivaled weren't as good as WNBA ratings, and they didn't matter because they still got paid. The players are looking at that and they're saying, what's going on? And like I said, I'm worried about a lockout. I'm worried about a player strike. It seems like everything is pointing in that direction. And I truly hope that some sort of agreement can be made between the players and the owners, because I think if you kill the hype and you kill the momentum by not starting a season next year, it could just be really detrimental for the entire trajectory of the WNBA. But of course, you guys, let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. I still feel like there's so much to unpack with this one, but I'm gonna keep this video where it is. I feel like I threw enough information at you, but please, please, please let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it and click that little subscribe button because we upload new videos every single week. And I will see you guys next week when I'm officially a missus. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you later. Ooh, Anna.